What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast, except when one of us is traveling, that
Yeah.
touches on the hottest topics with a hint of what, Terence?
Just a hint of humor.
Oh, I threw you off, huh?
No, because I mean the topic is not that funny or what today, right? It's not meant to be. It's a bit
Oh,
of
yeah, that's
that-ish
true.
kind of topic. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But I did need to add a bit of the disclaimer at the start because this is the first podcast of this week, which is being recorded on a Friday. But there's a reason why we haven't been as prolific at our output, right? And so that's because I'm not actually in Singapore right now. Yeah.
We're doing it postal service, LANY style. Yeah.
What's Postal Service and the
Postal
LANY
Service.
stuff?
Postal Service was a band that millennials coveted in the 2000s. That basically they produced music from the two different sides of the US, two producers.
Is it?
It's a band. They were called Postal Service because that's how they would communicate with each other through the Postal Service.
What the fuck? So clearly not all millennials, because I am hearing about this for the first time.
Yeah. Only the cool millennials.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think I've heard of the some songs by Postal Service. What's their most famous song?
The most famous one was the one that appeared in the Natalie Portman movie. Oh God, I forgot
Garden
the name.
State? Garden State?
Yes, Garden State. That's right. And it was I think it was, what was it called? Such Great Heights. Yes.
Oh, so I probably heard their music.
You have definitely heard the music. It's that
Service.
2000s, that style of indie music, indie pop. Yeah.
I see. But yeah, we are doing this remotely across a 6-hour time difference because right now I am in France. Français. Bonjour.
Yes.
Bonjour. Yes, bonjour.
And then it's actually timely that you're there because that means you are only just across the border
the
from
channel.
Yeah, across the channel. Sorry, from the topic we are actually going to be talking about, right?
Yeah.
But before that, what are we plugging?
I guess I don't know, just to share our podcast.
Yeah, I mean this is an international podcast.
It's an international podcast, correct?
Recorded internationally and talk about international topics, going to an international audience. If you're out there somewhere in the world, this podcast is trying to speak to you.
Yeah. And I will say that next week I will also be recording one more remote, but we probably won't be doing 3 episodes next week, right?
Yeah.
But the week after that, once I'm back, we're gonna be back at it, man. So don't worry. If any of you have been wondering what the fuck has been going on this past week, it's really because I've been traveling. So I'll be away for another week because one of my best friends is getting married somewhere here. Yeah, and then after that, I'm back.
But we are toying with the idea maybe of doing a interim episode, so to speak.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Maybe with our intern.
Yes.
And maybe doing it's in the form of an AMA. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. What kind of content that I can do with our Yalaba intern that you would be interested to listen to also.
Yeah, exactly. Basically without me.
Yeah. Without you. Unfortunately, without Harish. So the mercurial ranting won't be there. It'll be a much calmer episode, I promise you.
The less monotonous. It'll be a lot more monotonous. It'll be a lot more monotonous.
No, not monotonous. No. It's gonna be calm. Not ranty. Not ranty, like angry,
Not ranty.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Yeah, so if you see any posts on Reddit asking for like an AMA questions or anything, just show us some love there, man.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right.
Cool.
Yes. The first topic. It's pretty fresh, right? It was just yesterday, Thursday, 8 September, when it was announced that Queen Elizabeth II has passed on at the age of 96.
Yes, and I think for Singaporeans it was overnight For Singaporeans, it was happened. I mean, it was announced overnight.
I see. Yes.
For you, it was yesterday, right?
Like 9 p.m. here in France time.
Yeah.
Around there. Right. So you found out when you woke up?
When I woke up, yeah.
And what was your initial thought?
I've watched The Crown and big fan of The Crown on Netflix and all that.
All 5 seasons, is it?
all 5 seasons, all whatever's been produced, lah. You know, and I mean, I follow stuff that happens in the royal family, but I'm not like all those. You know, there are people who have parties whenever there's a royal wedding or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm not one of those lah. I'm not so hardcore, but I do keep up with what the happenings of the royal family. Also, I mean, no, I can't say I'm like super sad or anything like that, because I think you'll find a lot of quite extreme reactions on both sides about this topic. How about you? What do you feel when you first heard? And did you hear it through the French news or what?
No, I heard it through my fiance, who
okay.
was on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Then I
much
was like,
less
oh
exciting.
shit. Yeah. It just feels very surreal hearing that. Because the past few days I haven't been really on top of the news, but then I realized that she has been sick for the past few days. First of all, over the past few days, like now when I was doing research for this, I'm like, fuck, the UK has a new prime minister. What the hell? When did that happen?
Yeah.
And then Queen Elizabeth has been sick for the past few days, and then boom, she passes on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I literally left Singapore on Tuesday night, and since then it's like a different world in the UK, man.
What kind of different world are you talking about?
I mean, the fact that the PM changed.
Okay.
Yeah, because I knew that they were about to elect a new PM since Boris Johnson's announced that he would step down. But I didn't know that she had been elected already, or she had been chosen.
I see. But I mean, how about on the ground in France or anything? Anything?
So far, nothing. so far, nothing yet. I don't know whether today, when I walk around this morning, I will see things. If anything, I will post it on our Yalabat Insta stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, I don't know. So that's why I was curious when it happened. I was curious about the reactions, because as you said, it is there's a range. Even though on first Google everything is very very positive lah. I'm not say positive like loving the fact that she's no longer with us, but very, what's the word? Very somber, very
Not really. A lot of them pay tributes to Queen Elizabeth, right? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of tributes and all that lah. But what about Singapore? What has the reaction been since it was overnight? So you've almost had like a half day for it to germinate lah.
I mean, nothing big on the streets. I think it's a topic of conversation for people. But there's very little colonial hangover about the whole thing lah. You know, where people are. But I think the politicians have all come out and posted something about it. Lawrence Wong, PM Lee, Tan Chuan Jin, all of them have come out and posted something about it lah. But nothing in the sense of like huge and tragic lah. You know, just Singapore is one of the nations in the Commonwealth. And just talking about Queen Elizabeth's devotion, and I think we are going to fly the flags at half mast on the day of the funeral, I believe.
Yeah, correct.
So can't say it's like people. I mean, nobody has really been messaging it in all the WhatsApp groups I'm in or anything like that lah.
But since doing like the research for this and reading up, any thoughts that came up? Like how are you dealing with this?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did was like, then what happens to the whole Commonwealth, the concept of Commonwealth? And to be honest, I had to go on Wikipedia and read up about the Commonwealth lah. And I realized it's just purely a voluntary organization for all the former colonies to just hang out and be part of an organization together lah.
Oh, it's a volunteer thing. So any country can withdraw at any point in time.
Yeah. In fact, I think there are 3 countries, former colonies, that decided not to participate in the Commonwealth. To me, Commonwealth was mostly about the Commonwealth Games, so it's like a sporting event and all that.
It's like SAFRA membership, is it?
Yeah. It's a membership, like a club of maybe all the former victims of colonization all coming together and hanging out.
You get perks lah. You get perks.
Yeah, you get certain perks. But it's still with the Queen, as the head of the Commonwealth lah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say it's like empire hangover organization lah. You know. But I mean, and that's why maybe the Queen, she's presided over this. Basically the fall of the British Empire, and then moving on into a more ceremonial position as head of state of the UK and everything. and she's been unwavering, so-called, in her devotion to her job, lah, right? Which I mean, it's yeah, lah. There are a lot of people who have a bone to pick with monarchy. That's for sure, right?
Yeah.
I even today I even met someone from the UK who seems to know even less about the royal family than I do, lah. About all the
Really?
ongoings of the royal family. Yeah. So and he just actively says he tries to stay away from that side of gossip and all that about the royal family, lah. So I think even in the UK you'll get very divided reactions about this.
Probably even more, lah, right? Even more, because I can imagine if you're coming from the UK and all, like, there is a lot of attention on the monarchy, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of attention on the royal family. And if, I mean, I am personally someone who does not really care about the royal family. In fact, I think in this day and age, they get a bit too much attention. And I think, there's a whole historical, how you say, wouldn't say importance, but influence. But at this point in time, especially like, when there was the royal wedding and like fucking, it was so much around it. I'm like, yo, man, it's just a wedding between people of the royal family. Like, doesn't need to like be so overbearing in across pop culture and entertainment culture and news and shit like that. But I also do have some friends who were tuned in like crazy, like, and I know people who also, I mean, even my fiance to a certain extent, she does take an interest in just the spectacle of it. Not so much the belief of a monarchy, but the spectacle of it. Like everything's so grand. And everything's so grand. But as I was researching for this, like, I mean, one thing that dawned upon me was like, her reign, right? It's insane. I think it's the longest reign as a monarch ever. It's like 70 years.
Yeah.
Right? She became the queen at age 21, and then now she's 96, so 74 years plus. And if you think about people who have had like interesting lives and all, can you imagine her life? She has, because she's always held like a weekly audience with the UK Prime Minister. I think it was made famous also by The Crown, like sitting down in that room. And she's presided over 15 prime ministers now.
Yeah.
Starting from, from Winston Churchill all the way to Margaret Thatcher and Boris Johnson. So, and if you look at her life in pictures, right, when regular people pass on, their life in pictures, maybe like, okay lah, like there'll be a bunch of pictures and it's almost set in like, I don't know, one country, or it feels like, okay, like you can imagine living that life. If you look at her life in pictures, right, it's fucking insane, right?
Yeah.
She has been like at the front row of so many things. It's crazy. And even at the end of it, I think there was the new PM appointment looming around at the start of this week, and she's actually on her annual summer holiday in Scotland with the family, right? She's always there August to October, and there were talks of her flying back from Scotland to England to appoint the new PM, because there's a whole process for a PM going out and then PM coming in, no?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, the PM gives a speech at Downing Street, then goes to meet the Queen, then the Queen dismisses the PM, then calls on the phone the new PM goes, and then the Queen asks the new PM, are you ready to form a new government? The new PM says yes, then she kisses the hand and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this time, the Boris Johnson and the new PM flew to Scotland. And then, Queen Elizabeth had to turn down an online meeting on Wednesday because of poor health.
Yeah.
So it just felt like, up till the end, she almost made it a point to ensure the transition of PM, and then she's like, all right, I'm peacing out. Boom.
Yeah. So, there's a whole pomp and circumstance element of being the queen, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like what you said, like that, like a lot of people, especially in the UK, also question the whole point of the monarchy already, lah. Like, why are we spending taxpayers' money to, keep this family in power and everything, lah, right?
Yeah.
Giving them, and then what do they do for society, lah? There's that big element of that. But there's also the people who say that's, as much as we don't like it or what, that's tradition and how it's been for all this time. So why change it, lah? Isn't it like a I mean, in some sense, the royal family is one of the cultural exports of the world, right? Like, like Hollywood is a cultural export of the US, right? The royal family is a cultural export of the UK that is recognizable around the world. And the fact, it's every time something happens in the royal family is a big event.
Yeah.
But, what kind of, in this day and age, what kind of signal is the UK sending to the world when they anoint this and still keep this royal family in power? And I mean, even within the family, Harry and Meghan also, have denounced their royal titles and everything already. And to be one of the people. So there's a lot of reform and change going on even within that whole institution of the Queen. So, honestly, after her passing, how many of these institutions will be torn down and modernized or what? I'm also curious to know lah.
But when you say torn down, like I also had the same question. Okay, now Queen Elizabeth has passed on, so what happens? But then there's now a king.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
King Charles. Right?
Yeah. But every time something happens, is a time to re-examine. Do we really need that, right? Like the Commonwealth, the organization of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Like what purpose does it serve in the world today, right?
Yeah, I think even like early on, because if you look at her reign, there were periods of controversy lah. I think there was one part when Winston Churchill handed over to Anthony Eden as PM, and then there was a whole Suez Canal dilemma. I think in the 60s when Queen Elizabeth, I think, first faced her kind of a negative fallout from a global incident lah. And then I think after that, based on what I read, there was almost a transition from the label monarch to the royal family. So like less focus on her and more the family. And then even recently, there was something, I think, in the past year where they came out and said something that seemed a little progressive. I don't know whether it was related to Harry and Meghan, or that they agreed that Harry and Meghan can denounce can how you say, is it abdicate or release
Renounce,
renounce, not denounce, renounce their royal titles, which felt like a first lah. So I guess optimistically, maybe there will be a chance for King Charles to say, okay guys, let's claw back the reach of the monarch and things like. But I was surprised that he's now going to be king. It did not occur to me at all that he will now be king.
What do you mean did not occur to you? As in,
I was wondering, okay, what happens after the Queen? I'm like, okay, that's the end of the monarch.
No. It's
then I'm like,
continuity. Yeah.
I mean, even for him, right? I don't know how he honestly feels. Because, like, Prince Charles is like, nice, you can enjoy the perks of being in the royal family. Now to become King Charles.
King Charles, yeah. Exactly.
King Charles. I guess, okay, but I guess he probably knew at some point he would need to take over, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the fun. That's why the Crown is such an interesting series, right? It's a examination of a family of people who, as much as they are privileged, they're also, imprisoned by their circumstances, right?
Yeah.
You can never really leave your family or leave, the royal family and everything that comes with it, and it's just something you're born into. You don't have a choice, and it offers you a lot of perks, but there's a lot of things that you lose along the way, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is also that even as much as a lot of people think that the Crown is a criticism of the Queen and the monarchy, right? Like literally the Crown, the producer of the Crown, they have decided to pause filming out of respect for Queen Elizabeth, and then I mean indefinitely they've paused the production of the show to show their respect to Queen Elizabeth. So they are also very respectful of her legacy as well.
I think for them, it seems like they were almost wanted to chart out like every decade of her as a season, right? Because I've only seen the first season, but it really did follow like by the fifth season. Which reign is it?
No, I think it's just every season is marked by a very big event, big change, events. Like, so I think the last season, if I remember correctly, was Margaret Thatcher and Diana basically coming into the picture. Princess Diana.
Oh, so
So
that
the
was
next
quite
one,
recent already, lah. That was like the past 2 decades already, lah.
yeah, in the
So
90s and everything already. Yeah.
so the next one would probably be I'm sure they already have like things mapped out all the way till like today, lah. As
Yeah. I mean, the
the
drama
end.
is still happening every day, right?
Yeah.
Harry and Meghan, Kate and Charles, Kate and William and all, and even Prince Andrew and all that. So there's a lot of content. But the funny thing is like yeah, Queen Elizabeth has visited Singapore like 3 times in history. I think the ministers all are putting out all these photos of her various visits to Singapore. So even like even in that sense, just her longevity, like each time she's come to visit kind of marks a milestone in Singapore's history also, lah, right?
Yeah.
When we have when a head of state and all comes to visit. So I think
Yeah.
even the opposition MP He Ting-ru, she
Mm.
has a photo of her meeting Queen Elizabeth on one of these visits when she was a child.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it?
So like presenting flowers to Queen Elizabeth, in
Oh.
Ang Mo Kio town. So yeah, there's just I guess if anything, people feel, I wouldn't say affinity, but it's some kind of link to the past, and that
Yeah.
link to the past is gone when she passes. So it's something that they everyone, it reminds everyone of their mortality also, lah.
And more specifically, the Queen came in 1972, in 1989, and in 2006.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're saying that you just said it's a reminder of the past and all. There has been some negative reception, or like more, I don't know, celebratory reception comments about the Queen's passing, lah. What are
Mm.
some that you have come across, or some reactions that you've seen that are not so much about tributes?
No, I think people who believe the monarchy is a waste of time and money, attention and time and money.
Mm.
What does it do for society? The idea of how does the idea of meritocracy exist in a society where we also worship a royal family? You know what? There's a lot of contradictions there, lah. And when we talk about keeping up the times and just acknowledging that, every industry faces change, every government has to adapt to the times. Why is it that we're so steadfastly hanging on to this idea of a monarchy, lah, right? So I think for a lot of people, probably the passing of the Queen Elizabeth it marks an opportunity to really re-examine a lot of these institutions and structures, and maybe making moves now is, if there's any time to do it, is now, lah, right?
Yeah, I guess so, because I mean she is famous for her commitment to the monarchy, lah, right? I think she has been quoted saying that it's sad that people do not take on jobs for life, because I think for her, it's literally from the time she became queen up till like just a few days before she passed, it has
Yeah.
always been about serving the monarchy, lah.
Yeah,
Right,
no
but-
chance to do the quiet quitting thing.
Yeah,
that's going on.
can you imagine the queen quiet quits? Cannot,
It's
lah.
slacking. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
cannot.
cannot.
Yeah.
Like every week to meet the PM, no. I don't know how many times that she's ever been like, "Hey PM, today I can't make it. Can we reschedule?" Or not?"
Yeah, not
Then
feeling
propose
it.
a
Not
new
feeling
time.
it.
Yeah, not feeling it.
Yeah.
Not feeling it. But
And
I mean,
that's just one of the many, like whatever it is, like appearances she has to make around the world, right?
yeah. And I mean, while I wasn't that big of a fan of The Crown to want to watch all 5 seasons. The first season, I mean, it just makes you think like, oh, like what you said, like being born in the royal family is not just roses, right? It's not just a life of roses. You really cannot escape, and there's a lot that comes with it. But I think aside from the people who are just questioning the monarch, there have been quite a few pointed reactions. One of which that got quite a bit of traction on Twitter was a tweet by a Carnegie Mellon University associate professor. I mean, Carnegie Mellon is pretty well-known university. And her tweet said, "I heard the chief monarch of a thieving, raping, genocidal empire is finally dying. May her pain be excruciating." It eventually got taken down by Twitter, but not before getting like I think 10,000 retweets and 30,000 comments or something. Some supportive, some more dismissive, including from people like Jeff Bezos, who said this is someone supposedly working to make the world better. I don't think so. Wow. So then the university kind of like
Who
responded.
Jeff Bezos said what?
This is someone about the professor.
Oh, okay,
This is someone
got it.
supposedly working to make the world better. I don't think so. Wow. And then quite a few people saying like, yeah, this kind of post is not expected from a person of your level. But on Twitter, like you actually do see these sort of reactions, like people sharing videos of individuals from certain countries in Africa that were tortured by British troops during some fight for independence. Or one example I saw was a Kenyan woman who was apparently tortured with axes and put in like concentration camps. And you just see, you're like, wow, like in some way, I think we covered this, or we spoke about this, not on the podcast, but in general when Lee Kuan Yew passed, right? About
Yeah.
how when public figures pass on, is it fair to criticize whatever they did in their lives? And initially my thought was like, they still passed on, it's still a death. But I think there was one article that I think maybe you shared with me that kind of spoke about how for public figures it is even more important that the positives, the negatives of their reign are highlighted, because it's important that it be remembered and not forgotten, lah. And that's where I'm curious about the criticisms towards Queen Elizabeth, because the difference for, I guess, I don't like how much of the direction for the British troops, for example, came from her. I think
so much. Yeah.
she's a bit more removed than the PM, but Singapore also didn't have like concentration camps at the hands of the British, to the extent that some African countries did, lah. So, if your ancestors were kind of killed by British troops, how would you feel?
Yeah, but I also cannot whitewash, the fact that they did just leave us
True. Yeah,
leave
true.
us dry, out to dry during the Japanese occupation. The
True.
Japanese war and everything.
Yeah.
So in India, they didn't directly torture people, but their actions have had profound impacts on past generations, traumatic impact. But
Yeah.
I think also the Lee Kuan Yew case is quite interesting, because when was the last time the head of state, who was not the sitting prime minister or anything, the head of state, or someone very beloved, a very beloved figure, or very respected or widely known figure in a country passed away, and basically the whole country went into like mourning, right? And in our time, I think Lee Kuan Yew probably was the closest example. And then you saw what happened to Amos Yee. You saw the reaction people had to Amos Yee.
Yeah.
And it was quite a crazy time if you really think back. Like, I remember those days. You turn on the radio. If you listen to the radio, you turn on the radio, and they were just playing these like 24-hour like sad music tributes to Lee Kuan Yew.
Man.
And it was
Radio,
damn surreal. It was very surreal. Yeah.
It was fucking weird for 1 week.
1 week, yeah.
Like,
and then just like until the funeral. And then remember, I think we even took to the streets to record a video about like how the something in the air that just felt very strange when you tried to go to the wake, right? And visit the wake and all that. It was just a very strange thing, and then I think people felt it was it's a very sensitive time. Don't make fun of anything. And then Amos Yee happened, and that's essentially the equivalent to what you're seeing with that tweet as well.
Yeah, I think it was literally like at 11 p.m. we just decided to go and film shit around town, because Singapore felt so weird. It was like so packed, like people were queuing up. It felt weirdly like Singapore was more together than I've ever felt. Just people on the streets, people were friendly. It was like one big family, but it was weird, and I can only imagine in the UK now it will be to that extent. But you probably get a lot more people who are feeling the opposite, So that's why I don't know. Like I'm curious. Like I think, I can't even ask my Singapore friends. Oh, and maybe at my friend's wedding next week, I'll be like, guys, what do you think of the Queen's passing? I'll be that person. I'll be that person.
Yeah. I mean, the person I spoke to from UK is that, well, life goes on, but yeah, I guess like certain things like the stamps will change because the Queen's on the stamps, right? And then certain, I think, wherever her image or silhouette is, those things need to be
But
changed.
actually, why would it need to be changed? It can still be kind of commemorative, right?
I believe I'm not very sure, but maybe there's some rule that whoever the head of state is has to be on the stamp or something like that. I learned today that in the UK it's a thing that if you reach 100 years old, you will get a letter from the Queen congratulating you on living to 100. So a lot of people in the UK were speculating that is she going to reach 100 such that she writes a letter to herself lah.
Walamak.
So, but I guess she's 96, so it didn't happen. But I guess there are all these little things in the UK that I guess would when you're outside you wouldn't see and understand lah. But the closest proxy we've probably had is the passing of Lee Kuan Yew lah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just the spectacle of the royal family, because last year her husband passed on, right?
That's right.
Yeah, at the age of 99, I think. And I mean, in some ways similar to Lee Kuan Yew, I think he passed on a year after his wife passed away.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like at the end of it, it's still someone dying, so no cause for celebration or anything. But I'm curious what the reactions will be like, because I think in the coming days there will be definitely a lot of articles that will be focusing on the criticism, because there's going to be a lot that are paying tribute, and as with most things, if things go a lot one way, there will be a counter movement. So I'm curious to see how people approach that.
Yeah. So I think The Crown on Netflix definitely is going to get a big
man. They're having pre-production meetings already.
Yeah.
Okay, now we hold on, but the next few seasons are sorted already.
Yeah. But yeah, I think one of the big things is people are going to be tuning into the funeral. The last time when Harry and Meghan got married, even I watched it live on TV.
But a bit or the whole thing?
I mean, it's just something that's on the TV on a Saturday, and you just have it on and you're just watching it. So the timing just worked out as a Saturday night event in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But I wonder whether they'll stop any Premier League matches and all that going forward the next.
I mean, the Champions League, I think there was some talk about postponing it, but they went on. They just paid respects beforehand. But the funeral is, I guess, different. That was the announcement. The funeral, you said it's going to be this weekend. It probably will be on the weekend.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Just waiting to see when it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, man, interesting.
Speaking of changing tides and life-changing happenings, I think the next thing we're talking about is also heralding a move into the future, right? And moving on from our very glorious past.
Yeah.
And what is this topic about?
The topic is the announcement that selected SAF products will now soon be available on Lazada. And I mean, for those who are not part of the SAF or who have never had to partake in the Singapore Armed Forces or NS, there are certain products like shoes and insecticide and camo cream that you will always need throughout your NS, and you maybe even reservist. And the one place that most people go to is the Army Road, Beach Road Army Market lah. Right. I don't know. Okay, like do you go anywhere else? Like, because you also have the SAF E-marts at the different camps, right? Where do you go to stock up?
Usually, I think there used to be E-mart at the SAFRA Mount Faber, and then there's one at SAFRA Punggol. But most of the times I go to the ones in camp lah, the E-marts camp. Also in Jurong or what to stock up. Yeah. and it's usually during reservist that I do that lah.
I
So
see.
yeah, it's a
So
very time honored tradition to spend the first day in camp queuing up at the EMAT lah.
I see. So yeah, it's something that you have always had a few kind of set in stone options like. It's almost like physical stores lah. So this one, even though it's seen as like a movement that is embracing e-commerce, making the experience easier for NS men or people who need this sort of SAF gear, there has been some, I wouldn't say backlash, but responses from the owners of the Beach Road Army Market shops lah. Because they now worry that the store is going to put them out of business.
Yeah.
And
So the time honored tradition of going to Beach Road to buy all your items on weekends for booking in, that is under threat.
And I mean, the Beach Road Army Market is really like it's an institution lah. I think a lot of non-SCF people go there also for camping gear. Before the likes of Decathlon and all came around, I think that was one of the best places to get anything like boots, waterproof socks, knives, screwdrivers, whatever camping gear. And it's actually quite a fun place to go to. I like going there for this sort of little gadgets and trinkets. We've even filmed there. You know, a few scenes in our terrorist comedy were filmed there. So, what were your thoughts when you first read the title of the headlines?
I mean, I just found it funny lah. I mean, the SAF and moving into the 4G and everything, like opening a Lazada shop, e-commerce and all. It's just really something out of left field. And then the funny thing is that they talked about it like it was like this big public-private partnership that they can learn skills and all that. I'm like, guys, just fuck lah. It's an e-commerce store lah. Don't make such a big deal out of it lah.
Oh, wait, you saw that where? Like what did they say?
I think the statement that the Brigadier General, again another general, made about after signing the deal with Lazada to put some of the items on sale on the Lazada store. I'm like, for fuck's sake, lah. It's just selling. It's like, you're just putting stuff online to sell, lah. Can you all not make such a big pony show out of it, lah?
Actually, because setting up a Lazada store, I don't know what the requirements are, but I don't think it's something that is monumentally hard, lah, right?
Yeah, and how about if you're the SAF and what, then argue for better terms for for sellers and all these kind of things, like and rather than like just hook, line, and sinker, just open your own store. I mean, actually, from what I understand, you can already shop for a lot of these items online on the eMart, the e-store that for the eMart already. So, is it that huge a deal, or is it just another publicity stunt, lah? Yeah.
I guess it's just funny because it's Lazada, lah, right?
Why is it funny?
Because like what you said, lah, like if you go to the official e-store, it's like okay lah, it's still the army store. You go to that website for one reason. You need to stock up on your army gear, lah, as part of defending the nation. But then now that it's on Lazada, you can be buying, I don't know, this thing that helps you clean the earwax off your earphones. And then you're like, oh shit, I need some SAF gear. Or like, the 88 or 99 sale. You just add it all to your to your checkout. You're like, hey, I can get discount on SAF. So it just feels like SAF gear, ultimately, it's still, the defense of our country and shit like that. Even though, I don't know how many people see that as the core thing that sticks out, like, oh, it's the defense. But on Lazada, like what you say, like, it just feels very almost like it's, I don't know, you buy food on Lazada, you buy appliances on Lazada, and now you buy like military gear.
Yeah. I think maybe the idea is that like a lot of these items, last time when we were in the army, we were told that these items are all controlled, right?
Correct.
There was a limited number that you could purchase, and if you wanted to get, the only place, even if you wanted to buy a new uniform or whatever, like you had to discard your old uniforms with them and blah blah blah, stuff like that, lah.
Yeah.
So just see on Lazada and think that any auntie can just basically also roll up and buy those Adidas shoes, same Adidas shoes that NS men wear. It just makes the whole thing feel less like you're really trying to prepare as a professional soldier. It just feels like it's like cosplay. It's like cosplay like that lah.
Cosplay.
You're like buying a cosplay costume on Lazada, and now you're a soldier after you buy the admin t-shirt and the shorts and the shoes.
Cosplay.
Yeah.
Cosplay. So basically, NS is a 2-year-long cosplay conference, is it?
I mean, theoretically, if your country never goes to war, what
cosplay?
What are you really doing? Yeah.
So anytime if you do cosplay and your parents say, why are you wasting time? You're like, hello, every Singaporean male cosplays for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just cosplaying like once a month. But I think the mart, the lifestyle mart, that's what it's called, lifestyle mart, has only 20 products now. So it feels like, what you said, there's so much fanfare, the CEO of Lazada Singapore and the Brigadier General signing this thing, Then you go there, it's 20 products. I don't know whether they have plans to increase, but now it's like insecticide, towel, camo, sandals, socks, shoes, kids army t-shirt. I don't know why they have kids army t-shirt, and shorts lah.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think there was I was reading suggestions online that they should put the army rations on Lazada, so sell it as an actual food item for people who miss eating army rations.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about Beach Road was at one point you could get, I've heard you could get contraband items like a firing pin, that's part of your M16 to replace in case something happens in camp or what. I've heard right? But I think that was back in the day. Now maybe it's not so prevalent anymore already. But you're definitely not going to find it on the Lazada store, right? You're not going to buy a M16 firing pin, or SAR-21 firing pin. Yeah.
I mean, the benefit is, I guess, for certain products, if you do need it, it's kind of nice having it be delivered as opposed to going to Beach Road or Mount Faber or Punggol. Because if moving about is tough for you, this is a benefit. This is a good thing. Right.
I guess the only thing I was wondering is, in Singapore, we have this relentless drive towards digitalization, right? And cannibalizing your own, your sunset industries and stuff like that, right? But I mean, I know it's probably more work than just having a big press conference with Lazada and then listing on their platform. It's probably more work, but would there have been a way to maybe work with the retailers at the Beach Road Army Market to help them push them onto e-commerce sites together, such that, I mean, not just the so that, I mean, just understanding that these are also businesses that have been around for very long, and that people trust them to sell what they need and all this, and rather than just creating more competition for them that they can't fight with, right? Because it's for whatever reasons, maybe getting online is tougher for them because they're older or they're just a bit more stubborn and all this. Shouldn't we put more effort and time and money into helping these businesses get online, and then they provide the same services, the same products that you're now selling yourself on Lazada, right? And then it feels like a win-win situation for everyone, right? But the most expedient, the best press release probably comes from SAF signing a deal with Lazada, right? A memorandum of understanding, MOU, not even a deal, just an MOU. Then you can have a press conference, you can have a Lazada CEO there and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it sounds great on paper, but like who suffers from that action, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, that's what I feel every time I see this kind of things where somebody is left in the lurch, especially the older generation or that. I feel like things could have been done better.
So you mean like for Lazada to work with each of these retailers and bring them on to their own Lazada stores?
Yeah.
Lazada official stores.
Yeah, a concerted effort between the SAF and these retailers and Lazada can be involved, but don't make it so exclusive between Lazada and SAF really, right?
But bro, Lazada needs to eat all and win all and consume all, man. What does the
Yeah.
middleman matter? Just go straight to the big kahuna, lah. The BG,
But
man.
I mean that's where if I think if you just blindly believe that technology and everything will save the world, then you've just been ignoring the last decade or so of politics and everything being disrupted, and not in a good way lah, by technology also lah.
Yeah.
And like there needs to be a balance, especially if we're talking about the SAF, the government organization and everything. Then there needs to be a bit more. Just think a bit more about your role in society also lah, right?
Because the Beach Road Army Market is an icon, lah. It's a very iconic place. And I think every dude probably has had to visit the Beach Road Army Market at some point. And that whole area is actually quite historic, even with the food center near below, you know. It's such an interesting place. And I mean, just talking about how when progress speeds ahead and leaves some people in the lurch. I mean, one thing we were thinking about talking as a topic today, which we didn't, was that the Yishun Hawker Center, 10 out of 14 stalls quit.
Coffee shop, not the hawker center.
Coffee shop, quit the $40 million Yishun coffee shop that was bought because the rent is set at 10,000 a month, right? Then you just look at it, you're like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah.
So this Beach Road Army Market, I hope it doesn't die out. I think in the articles that spoke to the sellers, some of them already did say that they haven't been depending on just SAF stuff, because if you depend on that, you're kind of screwed lah. Because over the years, they have already made some move to come online lah, right? Like what you said, like or just have more clearer lines to or like points of contact with the army men lah. So the sellers themselves, they stock up on non-army wares but more camping gear lah. Maybe that's how they have to pivot lah. Just focus like a camping hub, and the SAF thing just slowly wean themselves off it lah.
Maybe that's the point lah, to force them out of the space also lah, right?
Yeah.
To make them less dependent on army boys for the income. But I just feel that again there was an opportunity to do something that helps all Singaporeans rather than just those that are very connected digitally and believe in the power of technology to move things forward and don't think about the downsides of technology also lah.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do a comfort cap, because when the rideshare apps came into Singapore, a lot of the taxi drivers and even Comfort themselves were kind of not the most comfortable with these apps kind of taking their market share lah. But fast forward to today, Uber is no longer here, Grab is getting all sorts of flack, and the Comfort app is actually not bad, no? Yeah,
pushes them into the next the future lah, right?
They basically went from like, oh fuck Uber, fuck Grab, they're like, oh, you know what, okay, fine, you want to play, let's play ball, man. And now their app is good.
I mean,
it's a good app.
But Lazada versus Beach Road sellers, a bit different from ComfortDelGro versus and all these things lah. So it is I mean, I can't blame these generals and all for wanting the press conference opportunity, because that's a lot of what their career is built on, right? Publicity and everything. But I mean, I think don't be such a tech bro lah. Don't be a tech bro. There's hook, line, and sinker. There's everything is big tech, and there's the future.
Tech
and all
bro, man. Some more Lazada got their building along.
The monkey.
It's not
literally.
Beach Road. It's Bras Basah lah. Bras Basah.
Yeah. Bras Basah, right? Yeah.
Bras Basah.
But yeah,
man.
Cool. So yes,
right.
What is your one shook thing of that one shook comment of the week? Sorry.
One shook comment. Wait, I don't know. Oh, I can't remember if we covered this on a previous podcast, but one shook comment from it was on our episode 324 about Joseph Schooling and the Chan Chun Sing asking school alumni to ease teachers' workload. There was a comment from Derek FCW, who is a teacher. Was that a one-shot comment for you before?
Possibly. I can't remember 100%.
I mean, they were just saying that they're a teacher. They've been enjoying our recent episodes where education matters have been highlighted. And the fact that CCS's point about leveraging alumni networks is really being done apparently for higher education and career guidance. So it's not a novel suggestion, but they shudder whenever new policies or suggestions come along because somebody on the ground has to help coordinate these things, and this just means more work which is something we highlighted also. There's all these grand plans to bring back alumni, but someone on the ground needs to coordinate. But they also did highlight one thing that has come about that I think some Redditors also posted as a potential topic about the chatbot for teachers. You know, the chatbot for teachers to get emotional support. I've seen some memes, but yeah, it's not something that has stood out to us yet. But I do want to go and check it out and see what people are saying. The chatbot. But yeah, that was one comment that I enjoyed reading.
Yeah, and I think we haven't posted much in terms of new podcasts, but I think someone did already post about the chatbot on our Reddit already, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you know, just while listening to our podcast and all. But I think the one interesting thing that long-time listener Jungle Jimbo posted was about the idea of the topic of Food King announces closure and deletes all posts. NOC YouTube videos disappear too. I mean, it happened about almost a week ago, so we haven't had a chance to even talk about it, and honestly, I'm not sure how much there really is to talk about, but I just felt like, oh, okay, it's quite I guess maybe a closing of a certain chapter in the Singapore YouTube history. You know, I don't know what's the next phase of it, but it is something that you know, people like Harish, myself, we do like that. We did send around the news when it happened, but yeah, like I think it's interesting. I'm just quite fascinated that there wasn't as much conversation about it as I thought there might be, Yeah.
Maybe people are sick of the whole drama shit already.
Possibly, and maybe it's just time to close that chapter already.
Right. Close that chapter.
Yeah, and that's what's happened. Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Yes.
Cool. Maybe there might be a point in time where we need to address that, but not yet,
Not yet. We're not sure exactly what's next, Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool. And what is your one shot thing all the way from Paris, France?
My one shot thing is something that it totally blew my mind because I think my one shot things in the past, right? I have mentioned a certain Marc Rebillet a few times, on more than one occasion, and for people who maybe have not heard, he is a super talented musician who creates music on the fly by looping melodies and his own voice. And he used to, I think back maybe like 6-7 years ago, he was working at a call center in the US, had always been pursuing music on the side but not getting anywhere. Then he had one video of his live stream go viral because what he used to do was live stream and then take calls and come up with songs on the fly. Then he started getting a few gigs here at restaurants and all. Then COVID happened and he started live streaming at home. And that's when I fucking just got obsessed with him. I used to watch his live streams where his subscriber base grew. He went past 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And then COVID opened up, he started touring. And when me and my fiance were looking at stuff to do in France, just so happened that he was going to be performing in town.
Wow.
And I tried to get tickets and we were put on the wait list, and I was thinking, oh fuck, why did I look it up beforehand and shit? But then suddenly I got an SMS saying we got tickets, and last night we watched him live, dude.
Wow. And this is like
oh
your whole
my
life
God, man.
Your whole life like just flashed before you as you were
Yo,
watching.
Man, I was such a fanboy. During one of the songs, right, I actually teared up,
Wow.
fucking teared up just watching this maniac on stage. And I'll put some on my Insta stories or some shit, but it was magical. And I know people can't just click a link to go experience the concert, but maybe now it's time for you to just check out a video of his, which I will put. But it was magical. I felt like the guy from the NDP who was crying, just standing there. Just like I was like, oh my god, this guy. I fucking love him. I respect all that he has done, and just he's just awesome. It just
So
blew my mind.
do you like were you one of those like just taking a video for the duration
Oh
of the
no
whole
no no no
concert?
no no! I took videos at certain moments, but I made sure also to just enjoy it for what it was. And my fiance was there with me also, and it was awesome. I fucking
Is she a
loved it.
fan also?
Yeah, she's a fan. She's a fan.
Oh, she's a fan. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean there are other people that I've showed to her that she does not like. So I don't think she's a fan just because she's my fiance. She's looking at me right now, smiling. I think she's a true fan, lah. She's a true fan.
It's okay. Yeah. I'll find out from her the next time I see her.
Yeah, you can ask her.
How much of this is true, lah. Like whether it's like you're dragging her to this concert. She'd much rather just be hanging out in a cafe in Paris.
No, she's a true fan. Okay, she's a true fan. Yeah, she's a true fan.
We've all been there. Like you. My wife absolutely loved the John Mayer concert. That's why she was like so tired of standing by the end of the concert already. Then she sat down as he was playing.
She's a true fan also. She's a true fan. She's a true fan.
Yeah, my wife is a huge fan of like all the bands.
Fan.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, man.
But cool.
But cool. What's your one choke thing?
Is this I mean, yeah, I just been I mean, other than Better Call Saul on Netflix, I just came across this series called Untold. Which is basically I think a series that the Players Tribune is involved in. You know, the Players Tribune, which is like a long form
website,
articles about sports,
correct,
events, right?
Yeah.
So the whole series called Untold, specifically, it's a documentary series about various sporting events that maybe haven't been really explored in detail. So the one documentary that I caught was Untold: Operation Flagrant Foul, which is basically about an NBA referee who was caught betting on his own games. This was in the 2000s when, during the age of Kobe Bryant and all that. And it's I remember that story, reading about the story back in the day, but never really, they didn't follow it that closely or anything. But now just watching as a documentary, they actually interviewed the referee himself and the bookies that he was working with. And because all of them have different stories about the whole thing, that's what makes it quite interesting. Like the bookie is, the referee was saying that, I never bet on my own games. And the bookmaker behind it was like, that's bullshit. He was totally in on like throwing the games and everything, So now you're hearing all the convicted people coming out and telling their side of the story. So that's what makes it quite an interesting documentary. Who's telling the truth, right? So I think it's quite interesting when you actually hear the people who perpetrated the crime talking about it and the different perspectives they had on it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And like the Players Tribune is involved. That means they provided like the info, or like they kind of produced it, or what?
They're one of the executive producers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So so I think there's Untold and various other kind of stories that are from other sports and all. So this one is just focused on the basketball side of things. So yeah.
I see. Oh, that's cool, man.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Right.
All right. We did it. Cross-border international Yalabat podcast.
Yeah.
And
the world.
Yeah, and I guess we'll talk to you all soon as well, because there'll be one more of these next week.
Yes. Au revoir.
Au revoir.